I'm real boy, ask your pedal. You better dash for my class of rebels, cause you know we came to blast when we smashed the metal. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it.
Hey, everyone. How are you doing? This is the On Everything podcast. So glad you all have tuned in and joined us today because we have a very, very special guest. I'm so excited. Just talking to this man right here gives me a whole new motivation, determination to go out and do whatever it is that I want to do. Just talking to Mr. Lacey. So again, you're watching the On Everything podcast. Yes. Give it up for Mr. Lacey. And she is Ella Brown. My ride or die co-host Gene is not here today. He is on vacation, so he will be back next week. He may also drop something in the chat for you guys, so be on the lookout for that. So again, let's welcome Mr. Robert Lacey. Mr. Robert Lacey, thank you for being here. He is
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Wow,
I appreciate it.
Ella, I can't get a little low, just a little bit. I am here for you.
And we got King Dawn. Running everything. Please let me give a shout out to him. Y'all give him some love, please. He manages this whole thing. So yeah, let's show some love. So we're gonna be talking to Mr. Lacey about his 24-year prison bit, and he can tell me about that too, Mr. Lacey. You know I said prison bit because when I was looking, a lot of times people say bid, but talking to some friends who have done stuff on the inside said that everybody says bid, but it's really called a bit. So I want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. So Mr. Lacey, welcome. I'm going to give the floor to you for a minute. Just briefly, just give the audience where you are from. I'm so thankful because I know there's a time difference. So we're so happy to have you here today. Just let us know where you're from and tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm from San Bernardino, California. I did serve a 24-year prison bid in California State Prison. I was in some of the most notorious prisons in California, like Corcoran State Prison, Ironwood, Tehachapi. And I finished my bid last 17 years right there at Folsom State Prison, old Folsom, where Johnny Cash is most famous known for. So yeah, wow. I did that time. That's who I am.
Wow. Thank you. So tell us about before you did your time. That was the hard time that you had, right? You had never had a case like that with that year sentence. So I know there was some roadblocks and things that you went through before. Tell us what happened and how you were and how life was leading up to before you had to go to prison.
So what I could say is, being a young black man in America, growing up in the early 90s, it was hard, it was difficult. We had a lot of gang violence that was exploding. It made its way to San Bernardino. As a result of that violence and drugs and, just the negative energy, we had to, create something amongst ourselves like, hey, we can't let this energy come in here and decimate our community. So, we came together and formed what they call little groups or little cliques, right, amongst each other. And we're like, hey, we're going to fight back. And I did those things. I was part of, the neighborhood problems, right? I had to get dirty. I had to get in it. I had to go hard. I had to do what I had to do to protect not only my family members, cousins and sisters, and sometimes my brothers, but the community itself. And as a result of that, I became a gang member, and I was a part of that, and I lived that life, and I was about that.
Okay. And I just want to say we already have two comments in the chat. We have Jared. He's saying, hello, everyone. Hello, Jared. Thank you for joining us. And then we have our co-host, Gene the Dream Brown. He said, what's up, y'all, and everything. I'm out, but the show looks lit. So thank you, Gene, for dropping that in the chat. All right, so let's move forward let's get into the prison sentence and what it started off as and just how that whole thing transpired. And what was the case for?
Okay, so the case happened March 1st, 1996. It was a family member's house that we were at. I was there. I was present. A crime had occurred. I was there. I didn't turn state evidence on the person or people. So as a result, I was charged with that robbery. I exited that location, went to another location where my family members resided and lived, where a party was going on. I went to the party. Make a long story short, I ended up asking for a ride. We were drinking. A lot of drugs were being used there. It's a party, it's going on, right?
Right.
Um, I asked for a ride. She was like, "Hey, look, I'm a little lit. Let me ask my husband and stuff, later on if he can take you guys. He's in the room drunk." So he was in there with my uncle. Like I said, it's my family's house and their friends and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it started to get late into the night, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm ready to go." My girlfriend at the time called, was like, "When you coming home?" I'm like, "Hey, I'll be home in a minute, right?" So I went back to her, was like, "Hey, I put some gas in the car. I really need to go. Like, what's up?" She was like, "Well, you drive, and I'll just kick back, and I should be cool by the time we get there." I said, "All right." So I ended up getting the keys from her, taking the car, putting her in the middle. We went and got gas and the whole 9 yards. She wanted to go get more drugs. I'm like, "Nah, we're not doing that. We're going to my house, right?" Went to my house. I didn't want to park directly in front of my house because my girl gonna wild out and trip. So
Right.
I say, "Look, I'll just park right here. Just turn around. You know how to get back." She like, "Yeah." 1 o'clock that morning, they beating on my door. Right, police department, San Bernardino.
Mm.
My girl, what's going on? She's scared. She don't know what to do. I'm upstairs getting dressed. My brother, he's in the room. He was with me that night. They're like, "Hey, is Robert Lacey here and Sean?" And she was like, "No." He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna ask you again because if you're harboring them, you're going to jail." So she was like, "Yeah, they're here upstairs." By that time, I come down the stairs. I'm like, "What's up?" They draw down, put me outside, whole department out there. So it was like, "Hey, look, you're not being arrested. You're only being detained." So this whole incident took place. I'm telling my girl, "Hey, ask them if they got a search warrant while they're in there tearing the house up. It's like 10
Right.
police. What's going on?" So they're making a big scene. They said, "No, we don't have a search warrant, but if we need one, we'll go get one." So my girl's like, "Get up out of here, go get a search warrant." And they were like, "Okay, well, we're gonna leave the sheriff female here with you, and they're being detained, and we're gonna take them down." So I go to the station. I'm like, "Am I being charged with anything?" They're like, "Nah, we're just holding you." They leave a female sheriff in there with my girl watching her. She got her son there, little Jazz at the time. Um, they denied the night search. They waited till the morning. They searched to get a search warrant from a judge. They got one about 8:30 in the morning. They went back, found my clothes and stuff, and ended up charging me with kidnap, carjacking, and I was charged with kidnap robbery. And from kidnap robbery, because I wouldn't turn state evidence at the first location because they knew I was there by my footprints, they were like, "Hey, look, the crime just went up. We're gonna give you carjacking. You used the car to leave the crime when you drove that car from over there." I'm like, "Man, I didn't kidnap, carjack nobody." And it was like, "Well, you used to steal cars as a juvenile, and it's on your record, so now you're carjacking." I said, "You people crazy, right?" I'm like, "I put gas in the car, $5, right? Like, I
Right.
drove. She gave me the keys. I haven't
Right.
kidnapped nobody. I never, and I didn't carjack no one because I never took anything from nobody." So, make a long story short, no one could believe it. I went to court to the box, what they call it, 12, all white jury, washed me up, gave me 28 years plus life, 1 year in the county served. I fought it for a year, and I was sent off as an 18-year-old kid, straight into the beast, right? I was the youngest on the yard. So,
Lord.
yeah, my family knew a lot of people. My uncles and stuff had been to prison and stuff, back then driving. So I didn't have, major big issues and stuff like that while I was on the inside as at a young age, like other people do, tried and tested from the gate. But that's my story. What ended up happening was they started looking at prison reform here in California the last 5 years, and they came up with people are sent to YA, the youth authority that we have out here, until the age of 25. And the reason why that is, and in other states, is because a person's brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. However, our system is charging young minors and young adults as adults, and they're giving people long sentences and washing people up. And psychologically, it's wrong. They know that a person is not developed, right, mentally, right.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's why we have so many cases of people basically admitting to doing things when in reality they're scared. They promise them, "Hey,
Well,
look, you're gonna go home like the Gina Six," and they're washed up. So yeah,
that's the one of the
that's
questions I was
that's the
gonna
issue.
ask. Did you have a court appointed or did you have your own lawyer?
I had a PD, public defender, court appointed. Um,
Yeah.
I ended up firing my court appointed defender because he had known the victim, and it was a conflict of interest, and I had not known
Wow.
that. And come to find out,
And
this
he
lady
didn't
who was
offer
a
that
drug,
information.
nah,
He
so
didn't excuse himself to the
nah,
judge.
his name was John Burdick. In fact, he thought I was ignorant. And, at the time, I admit my vocabulary wasn't up. I couldn't express myself like I used to, like today. But back then, he tried to get me to sign a paper. So when he slid it to me, I started reading it. It was like, okay, 17 years with 85% and two strikes. I was like, I'm not signing that. Like, you crazy, man. What you talking about? He's like, yeah, just sign this. Hurry up. Sign this so we can get this done and over with.
That's peer pressure.
So, yeah, peer pressure, thinking that we're all naive because once you sign
Right.
on the dotted line, it's a contract and
Right.
it's in motion. But yeah, that was it. And I ended up removing him and ended up getting another lawyer um, at the time who was good, but I didn't know uh, he had put in to be a DA inside of Joshua Tree in San Bernardino County. And later on, when he was my lawyer and we started speaking, he was like, I hope it's not an issue that they denied me, but I was trying to be a DA because I've been a lawyer for so long. And is it okay if, I still represent you? By that time, I was worn out going back and forth. I said, I just want you to get this to the box. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't carjack nobody, man. So I don't know what this is about. Went forward with him. And yeah, back in 1998, I ended up going back and getting 3 more years. And I seen him on the phone, right? Didn't actually see him, but I seen him on the phone. He was actually a judge, and it was a conflict of interest. So I ended up getting 3 more years, and I never got to consult with a lawyer. And I got 3 more years on top of a 28-year to life sentence. 1 year county served, 27 years to 30 years to life. And I was sent back to
Wow.
corporate state prison with 3 more years. And everyone was saying, United States Constitution states that you can't have double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy.
None of that flies, right? I tried to go to court, went to the California Supreme Court. They stated 1996 under the AEPD Act, you have to file within 1 year. If not, you lose your rights. So I lost my rights to even bring the issue up on a habeas corpus.
Mm.
Uh, and I was like, there's no way I could have filed that. I don't know anything about the law, right?
Yeah, that's what the lawyer
So
was supposed to be doing.
that's what the lawyer is for. And this is what the appellate lawyer is for, right? So the appellate lawyer, all the things that I asked him to bring up at the time, he didn't bring them up. Um, and it was just a wash. It was real it's sophisticated the way our system works, how they hand you from one jurisdiction to the next, or from one authoritative figure to the next. Meaning, you go from one lawyer to another lawyer to an appellate lawyer, and then you're in the system of CDC. And CDC has a legal department, and they're the ones who stated I was illegally sentenced and sent me back, and I got 3 more years. So I was like, how does uh,
You trying to
housing
get free and
holding
they throwing you
department,
extra.
yeah, how do they determine I need more time? I couldn't believe it. I says, shouldn't I have had a lawyer to protect my rights? So you mean to
Hmm.
tell me that CDCR at the time, CDC at the time, which is CDCR now, they have the power and authority to look at cases coming in and determine whether or not those cases are valid or legal before they accept you into their prison. However, this is supposed to be done 120 days after you get sentenced because you cannot challenge anything after 120 days on our part.
Mm.
So we're stuck in receptions for 6 months, a year, 8 months, and there's no way to get to the legal libraries and stuff. So we have no access to those things to even protect our rights or ourselves, right? Unless you have money from an outside entity to address your legal rights. So yeah, our system is not really broken. It's just the information is not available. It's not available to people in the
Well,
county, and it's not available to people in prison.
once you get locked up, basically you become a number and a paycheck to them. So that's the reason why once we're in, they don't want us to get out. That's a paycheck. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So basically, since you that paycheck, they want you to stay there as long as possible, and they will take as many of us as they can to make that happen. So my question for you is, um, did you feel at any time like there was no chance at all, or did you just decide, did you want to give up at any chance?
There were times that I was challenged to the breaking point. Um, I was involved in a lot of different politic riots there, meaning racial riots, right? Things that you cannot control, right? And it could be for anything. It could be for a table, state table. It could be for a person looking at a person a certain way, right? I've been in chow halls to where we knew something was going to happen, but not know who or when. And just sitting there, feeling your heart beat and feeling your blood run through your body, knowing that someone is going to die today, right? We don't know who, right? Because you don't know who, but you can feel it, and it's the most eeriest feeling in the world, past fear to where it's past numbness, right? And then it happens, and then you're like, whoa, that was kind of different. So it takes away from your humanity in that aspect to where you aren't able to feel for someone else's pain because there's so many people getting done in, right? And then there's times where you have to react, right? So hey, it's either me or you, right? And you start getting this thing going in your head, right? Turning stuff on and turning stuff off, right? It's hard to turn back on the humanity once you've been turning it off for so many years. So yeah, my faith, I believing in God. I was raised in a Christianity home. Um, I I recognized that Judaism was the way in prison. I became part of the Jewish community, started running a yeshiva in prison, bringing the community together and learning about the religious aspect from that point of view. And I use those traits and I use those uh, laws, God's laws to keep me grounded, to keep me to where I'm not throwing everything in, right? Just outright murdering people in a prison that need it, right? We got our rapists coming through. We got people who done stuff to kids, right? They got medicine coming, right? That type of thing. So we can't be the ones in there playing judge and jury. All you have to stop it at a point, to where
Yeah.
there's so many of these people coming in. What do? Do you continue to take care of them, or are you going to take care of yourself, right?
Mr.
At
So
Lacey,
that
it,
time, that
yeah.
I got a question. Well, first, I mean, because it's such a, I mean, your real life experiences, and not just you. I mean, we have so many people going through situations in the prison system and in and out and not getting a fair shake and all of that, right? It happens
Hmm.
daily. So, one thing I definitely hope our audience is tuning in because this is a very real conversation. And again, I want to thank you for being here. Audience, please, if you want to call in, the phone number is 929-441-2417. That's 929-441-2417. Again, we're talking to Mr. Robert Lacey and talking about the 24 years that he spent in prison and beyond. Mr. Lacey, was that, and you may have said it, what strike was that for you? Because that was under three strikes. What was it, two or three?
That was my first strike, right? I've never been to the county, but I did have misdemeanors as a juvenile. I
Mm-hmm.
was sent to juvenile several occasions. I've been to placement in group homes, right? For delinquency, right? Fights and messing up, right? A couple stolen cars, with my relatives and stuff, right? But nothing to where I attempted murders or nothing like that. We're talking about minor infractions. So
Yeah,
when this came down, I'm like, I know for sure I'm gonna get a break, right?
right.
And because I'm not, telling you something, I know you're not finna give me a life sentence. Like, come on now, right? Are you serious, right? You gonna jeopardize my life, like that? It's either you get your life taken on the street, or they finna take your life and you go in. So I decided to, hey, I'll go in, and if my life gets taken while I'm in, it's not my place. It's not my thing, right? It's not who I am. It's not what we do as a people. But yeah,
I mean, just
that's
hearing that word life
it.
while you
That's
standing
it.
there, that's
As
like
soon
the
as they say
scariest
life,
feeling in the world. Like
I mean,
you
that's
Well,
just
got to hit the
in
pit of your stomach.
see, in California, I had to realize and learn what it was, a life sentence, right? So I had 27 years plus a life enhancement, right? So that means I'm gonna bring 27 years flat, and then I'm gonna start my life sentence. But however, I was sentenced to multiple charges and multiple counts. So and they were all consecutive. So they tried so hard getting me in there to where they made it. They kind of looked out for me, right? Because the law states that you can only do as a first termer one consecutive term. You can't do multiple consecutive terms. However, under the enhancements in California, you do your enhancements first, then you start the actual term. And that's how they sentenced me under two 10-year gun enhancement uses plus a three. So I'm doing 23 years worth of gun enhancements more than the actual case. And the only thing that really got me here home was prison reform in California. Scott Budnick, different organizations, the three strikes law, different organizations fighting to look into those things, to even look to cases like mine, right? So under the John Hancock 260 bill, which is legislation that was passed, Karen Bass helped put it together. A lot of different senators, Dianne Feinstein, Maxine Waters, a lot of California senators helped get this passed because the whole state knows you're killing a lot of our youth and you're putting them in these places, and
hmm
we're just sitting there for 10, 15, 20 years doing nothing. It was a place to hold you, not a place to teach you or show you anything. But now the rehabilitation is there, and people are now starting to learn who they are. They're starting to get the resources of dealing with their addiction. I became an AA counselor while I was in NA. I started teaching the classes. I didn't just get out because I did the time. I got out because I changed my life in 2007. I started changing my life. And that change happened before the legislation was passed. So they could see a pattern like,
Yeah.
okay, he earned his freedom. It's not like it was given to him. It is a thing about money here in California: $60,000 to $80,000 for a lifer, all upwards to 120,000 if you got a medical issue. And this is what taxpayers are paying instead of 20,000 a year to send you to college, right? So go figure. Everyone is waking up now. We're all realizing if we educate and teach a person, we'll save money.
Yeah, because
So yeah,
prison is big business, right? Just like the New York
Yeah.
Stock
uh,
Exchange,
yeah,
it's
it's a
big business.
corporation.
It's a
It's a,
corporation. It is
yeah.
exactly that, and they function as such. Let me ask you this: as we go into the years that you spent in, and you said you started teaching classes, NA classes, AA classes, um, as you're getting close to the end, or tell us at what point did you have people start intervening? Was it the laws being changed? How did people start coming to help you to bring you home? What happened?
So it was, I had to seek it out. It was a number of people that helped me get to where I am today. It wasn't just one incident or one person. It was having a bunch of different cellies, right? And understanding different perspectives of plight, right? Of how a person sees the world, right? Because we all see it in a different
Yeah.
prism, a perspective, right?
Mm.
Um, that right there helped me give me insight because I was like, I didn't see it that way, but now I see it that way. So I started communicating with different cultures, Native Americans, you know, the white population, right? Dealing with the black population, dealing with our population that comes from other countries, which is the Caribbean population, right? We have Asian populations. We have different populations inside of prisons, and they have their own way of doing things. So as you reach out to them and you extend the hand and not a fist, you start to learn more about their culture and respect them, and they start to respect you more. And it's a conversation, and at the end of the day, it's mutual respect. And I think that helped me because each and every last group had something to give to me that I didn't have because my one group did not understand it, that way, or didn't have that information. The information was basically closed, right? If you don't go out and seek it, you don't find. So
Right.
if you think you know, you don't know. And the moment you do think you know, that's when you're lost. So I've always thought, asked, and asked for help, right? If you ask for the help is there. But a lot of people don't want to accept the help because it's a pride, ego thing, and you got to get over those personal
Right.
setbacks, right?
The feelings,
Yep.
yeah.
And so you went through that process, and then, well, a number of people collectively came forward to help you. Um, and who, talk about the organizations, because I know you mentioned organizations, and there were organizations under that with people who you worked with.
Yes, correct. So Um, I worked with Al-Anon, Alateen, and Al-Anon is part of AA, which is Alcohol Anonymous. Al-Anon helped me because it helped me understand as a child, being an enabler to my mother, right? What that was all about. My mother was an alcoholic drug user. I used to go get beer from the, refrigerator for her, and sometimes I used to pour it out because I know at the end of the day or night, she's gonna be lit, and we finna get whooped, and it never ends well, right? It always ends with some violence and tearing up the house and on a bad note. So I used to try and pour it out, but at the same time, I felt like I'm going getting her this beer for her to,
Yeah.
get lit. Um, yeah, so I dealt with all these things with these organizations. I understood them. I'm glad that they're there because you can see it from a different perspective, not as the actual alcoholic, but how I was introduced to alcohol and how when I was a teenager, like I said, drinking and smoking and living that whole lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle. Acceptance. Ain't nothing wrong with a little drink, a little shot, something to, smooth you over. It is something wrong with that because it changes your character, right? You go from
Yeah.
uh, feeling down to feeling good to feeling angry to
Or
feeling
feeling invincible, all kinds of stuff.
right, all kinds. So you got to go through this whole thing before you come back to where you're sorry, and then the crying, and then you're back to where you need another drink. So it's just a cycle, and I just stopped living that cycle.
Okay, tell me more about. I love that, and everything that you're speaking and we're speaking about. Me, you, Dawn, is real life stuff, right? And people are going through this right now. So I hope
Definitely.
whoever's going through this, they have got to hear you because, Mr. Lacey, you are speaking the truth. You are speaking from your experiences, and you're not ashamed to say, I had this problem, and this is how I got help. All that pride is out the window. You are really, who you say you are, and I appreciate you for that. Tell me about representjustice.org.
So Represent Justice is an organization that helped Michael B. Jordan tell his story and do his movie, right? Just Mercy. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a
Yes.
great organization.
Great movie.
They deal
Yeah.
in the space. Great movie, right? Very good organization. I recommend people to go and support them and look at what they're doing. They're doing a good thing. It's across the board, all groups, all races, people coming out of prison, sharing their stories and their experiences, and very raw, touching, as we're doing right now. It's a good organization. I would recommend it. But that's just one of
And
the
a lot of
organizations.
people,
ARC, yeah,
yeah, a lot of people don't know that that's actually a real life movie. It's a true story. So that
correct.
organization is actually an organization that's out here helping people.
Yeah.
So definitely, if y'all are incarcerated, and you're hearing us on iHeartRadio or any other station, make sure you try them out, listen to them. Try to
Yeah.
hit them up. And what's the name of it again, Ella?
Representjustice.org, right, Mr. Lacey?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or you
And
can go to
then
Just Justice, right? Yeah, but it's
Just
Represent
Justice.
Justice, correct. You can go to Just Justice or Justice R Us, but it's Represent Justice is the main one. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think Represent Justice, yeah, they did a nice article on you. They did, where they followed you throughout your day. I mean, they really did a nice to give it like how you wake up in the morning. I think you were waking up what 4 o'clock when you
4 o'clock in the morning. I got to go
do you
get
still
it.
Yeah.
wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
No, actually, I wake up at 5 and I'm out the door around 6, and I get to work around 6:30. So I'm a little closer to work, but I still get up every day and I make it happen, right? I represent more than just myself, right? I represent other lifers that are getting out, right? You know, I have to make it not only for myself, but for them to let the world and everybody know that, you know, we are worthy of getting out. There is second chances. We do value that, right? I'm grateful and honored to be here, right? To see my family. A lot of people lost their families, right? And we'll never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
Some people lost their families on the way coming to see them on visits, and that is just crushing. I met a couple people, families going up the high desert and had a bad car accident, died. I'm just grateful to be here. Yeah,
Yeah, God is good, isn't he?
All the time.
He's great. God is great. Amen.
So we are going to be right back again, everybody. We are talking to Mr. Robert Lacey, and we are talking about not only his prison sentence, but his enlightenment and what he is going to be moving forward to, which are great things. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and we will be right back.
Yep.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
Okay, everyone, we are back. We are
We are
continuing our
back.
conversation with Mr. Robert Lacey. Before we move forward, we got to give a shout out to our Sayings by Butter. So sponsored by Sayings by Butter Clothing. This is Sayings by
Day.
Butter. And I've ordered some more clothing and some more colors. King Don, wait till you see what I ordered.
And I already
some
saw it.
stuff for my
See,
business.
I seen it and it looked great, yeah. But
And I
also,
like
by
the
the way, starting next week, you'll be able to buy your own merchandise from Sayings by Butter on eveningrushnetwork.com. So you definitely have that opportunity. You can contact Butter yourself, and she'll send you all our apparel, including the Evening Rush on everything, Queens of NYC, any of the shows that are on the Evening Rush Network.
Say it
So
again,
shout out
King
to
Don.
Sayings
What
by
is
Butter.
it?
It's the eveningrushnetwork.com. So definitely,
The
yes,
eveningrushnetwork.com. Go there, get your merch on. Thank you. Mr. Lacey, one thing I was saying, so we've talked about your experience just to catch the audience up, whoever just tuned in to us. We're talking about Mr. Robert Lacey. He served a 24-year prison sentence, but not only that, more importantly, who he was before prison, his experiences in prison, and the things that he would like to accomplish today. And it is all good when you all hear it. One thing I want to know is when you got out, a lot of the times, you know, people hear things, and I know me and Don do, and I'm sure you have too. Okay, I'm an ex-felon or ex-convict, whatever it's the correct term is, and now I need a job ASAP so I don't reoffend. How that is the hardest thing, and even when I remember working in the prison ministry, that was the same thing. They were scared to death. Some of them, you know, just getting in trouble in jail so they could go ahead and just get longer because that fear of going back to the outside, like you said, just having to do the social skills all over again and all of those things was too much for them to handle. But I know that's one thing is how, when you get out of prison, how did you get a job? And do you like your job? Like, how does that work?
So the way it worked for me, I would say this first, right? Before I even went into getting a job, I was in a recovery center. This is where they send you when you get out of prison with a life sentence, is to a transitional or a recovery place. I went to a recovery center to where I couldn't leave, which is a home with other men, and we had groups there, and it was still like a prison setting, but we were free. We used to go to like the store for an hour and stuff like that, and shop, and then come back to slowly acclimate into society with the processing of information and just seeing so much stuff going on and not being connected with how things work. So what I did was I used to take that time while I was there, and I used to reach out, um, contact Monster Jobs, Monster, different type of places like that, Indeed, and I started putting my apps on my phone, and I started looking for work that way. Um, and then I realized I can't get a job because I don't have my ID. So they sign you up for you to go to the DMV to get an ID. All this stuff is not signed up and given to us before we get out of prison. So we have to do this while we get out. You can't get a job without an ID. You can't get a job
Hmm.
without sometimes the driver license, right? So
Yeah.
you have to go through this whole process of getting a birth certificate. I had to get my birth
Yeah,
certificate. I
social
had to
card.
send for it. I had to send for a social security card. However, due to the pandemic, no one can come into the office, so I had to wait an extra 30 days. Then I had to verify it was me through a notary. It was real difficult. When I got out of that recovery center, I went into a transitional home. And in that transitional home in San Fernando, I was able to leave. So I used to leave and go out on job searches. I used to pave the pavement. I used to go out there and, hey, excuse me, I'm looking for work. My name is this. These are my credentials. I've been to college while at Folsom Community Coastline in business. However, I do labor work. I've done some yard work and stuff like that, which was landscaping while in prison, and I have certificates on all that. So few people were like, I need this moved, I need that moved. I started making money. I went and signed up with Five Keys through one of my advocates. So they give you advocates and people like that in which you reach out to twice a week. And I just kept reaching out. Hey, I need a job. Help me out. I need a job. I need a job. And he ended up contacting me, telling me, "Hey, go here, take a chance, and go fill out the information and paperwork, and they'll take a chance with you." So I got on the bus and went down there, filled out the paperwork. Now I'm working for Five Keys, part of the Caltrans. I'll be going Monday, and hopefully I'll have me a full-time gig working as a
Yeah.
California Caltrans worker, right? State worker. But
State
I get up and
worker.
I go, and they look for the work ethic, and they look for the sincerity, they look for the change, and I give them that, I show them that, and you got to go get it, you got to want it,
So I definitely
and I
want to say,
want
yo,
it.
I'm 100% proud of you, man. Like
Thank
Yes.
you,
you didn't
appreciate
give
that.
up. You fought. You fought for every ounce of everything that you got. And you know what I mean? Even getting home and like you said, you gotta get a birth certificate, you gotta get a social security card. And during the pandemic, that was the most difficult thing. And you did what
Yeah.
you had to do to get where you are right now. So I'm definitely proud of you. Definitely gotta give you them hands, man.
I
You
say
deserve
it.
them.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Don. When he talked about the pandemic, how am I going to forget about that? Yes, you doing all that through a it's enough that you got to keep your own self motivated to not give up. And then to have to, boom, have that extra added, I don't know if you want to call it an irritation or a semi roadblock, but to have that added on you too. So you're determined, and perseverance is not only appreciated, but it needs to be heard, right? And so
Hmm.
I don't believe in any coincidences, so it's no coincidence that we're doing this show. And so I'm so grateful again to have you here. Um, Now you're working. Now we're waiting on the promotion or whatever's going with the other job. Now tell us from your experience all of the things that you've learned, all of the things that you've gone through, because we know your greatness comes out of pain, right? We know that's where it is. So out of
Yeah.
all the things you went through, what is it now that you want to do for others, or what is it that you want to do with the rest of your life to help close the gap, to stop people from going to prison, recidivism, whatever it is? What is it that you want to do? How do you want to do that?
So I got two major things that I would like to do. I would like to do a nonprofit called Second Chance to Drive, which gives people like myself who were young, who never had a driver license, the opportunity to utilize a vehicle with insurance. That's a major problem here, and a place where they can go and learn and train, and just like a driving school to learn how to drive, right? Coming from our communities, right? For us in our neighborhoods. And from there, I would like to be able to take that vision into our high schools for, young high school kids who don't have money to buy a car but would like to drive and get a license, right? And offer my program to them. I would also like to create something for battered women, sex trafficked women, which is a safe haven place, which is a safe place, which is a ranch. And I would like to have animals there because I believe healing should be natural, and I believe it should come from within, from a person who really wants it, and there should be a safe place where they can do that from, and excluded them excluded, which is safe, a private place, right? And they can come out and learn how to take care of themselves, right? Learn how to go find a job, right? But most of all, get the self esteem back, right? The self worth back, because I think that's important. We have a lot of that going on, and no one's really messing around in that space to help uh, these women, right? You know, I believe that a woman is the first teacher to a man, and it's very important that we give back to the women, right?
Okay, Dawn. I don't hear no claps for that. We need some claps for
My
that.
bad.
Some
Oh,
Ah,
claps
my
for
bad.
that.
My bad.
unreal,
Now,
We
yo,
need
unreal.
a loud for that. We need a loud.
I was
Hold the
so
applause, hold the
focused.
applause.
I was so focused on what he was saying. Yo, it slipped my mind. Like I was so focused because
Maybe I believe you. Maybe I don't.
I was
But
sitting there. No. I was super focused. Like
I
the
believe
things he
you.
was saying are amazing. My
Yep.
question was about to be like, so do you have anybody that you are partnering up with to try to make this happen?
At this time, I kind of know how to go about doing it. I'm just trying to give myself the opportunity to do it with time. I know what people mean when they say they don't have the time to get around to do it. So
Mm.
I've set it up already. I just have to actually make that step and then put the time into it. So I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet because I'm working, and I can't give 100% to it right now. It's just more of an idea that I can sell and help uh, market it to other
Mm.
investors out there and people with the time and the energy to help get it off the ground with me and for me. So I don't want to move
Yeah.
too fast to where I'm doing so much to where I'm not able to do my job and take care of my bills and stuff like that as of right now.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
want to go ahead, Dawn?
no, go ahead. I was just gonna
Do you?
say, with I understand with him coming home, just getting
Yeah.
home and trying to get everything together. It do take time, and you don't want to rush into something where you can't give 100% of what you want to do for it, and especially with nonprofits, is definitely something you got to be focused on. So I definitely understand what you're saying. But go
Yeah, you
ahead,
got to
Ella.
get that board and all that. The do you want to give them? I think we should definitely give them your contact information because there may be people that listen to this, and it may be that you don't have. They just want to help, and so we definitely need to get this out of there because you're going to need some funding, as you know. So anything that we can
Mm.
do on the show to help you, how can people contact you?
Well, you can contact me through my phone number. It's 323-677-7499. 323-677-7499, or my email. My email address is Robert E. Lacey 2020 at gmail.com. And they could contact me, and I could help move things forward and just partnership up with different organizations and groups on sponsorships and things like that to kind of help move some of my ideas forward. And we need it here in California. I'm pretty sure around the world, mostly America, right? Because we've been
Yeah,
hit with an atom bomb when it comes to the devastation of culture, and people are not melting into our society as they should, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Like
So we got Robert Lacey 2020 Gmail and the phone number 323-677-7499.
Yeah, so it's Robert E.
E
Lacey.
Lacey, I got it.
So
E
correct.
Lacey 2020. What about your IG?
Instagram is Robert E. Lacey, and that's on Instagram. You'll see me with my glasses on and a suit and tie. When I first got out, I went and bought all these suits and ties, right? You know, because I'm coming hard, right? I went
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
program. I went into the program, and later on that night, a couple guys like, man, I didn't know you was in here. We thought you was our PO. I said, no, man, I ain't no PO, man. I just got out, right? You know, I'm looking real healthy and glowing, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, I was like, no, I'm here to survive. I'm here with you, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
But, yeah, so
What is it?
you'll see my picture on there.
Yes, yes. They're gonna sit because we putting. I'm giving it to Dawn. He's putting it out there. So your number, your Gmail, definitely your IG. Because I know there are a lot of people, and like you said, it's just not. You may want some help, but you don't know where to go to find that information
Where to
because there are
start?
people
Yeah.
out here with money to fund everything that you want to do, Dawn want to do, I want to do. We just need the right person, and we need to be led to the right information for whatever it is we want to
And
do.
definitely don't rush into a loan. Start with some grants because there's a bunch of grants out here, and there's a bunch of people that can help you get those grants. So go for a
I
grant
would
versus a
I would
loan.
I would
Definitely.
love to speak to someone who knows how to write grants, and that's one thing that
We got to
I
get you
don't know
some
how to
grant
do,
writers.
and I
Mm-hmm.
do need help in that
Listen,
space.
there's a bunch of people out here. I'm gonna definitely when we get off the air, I'll tell you one place you can go to try to get somebody to help you write a grant. Bunch of grant
Yeah.
writers, you know,
I
that
appreciate
are
that.
willing to help you. And there's people out here, man. Like I said, don't
Mm-hmm.
underestimate the power you have with these cell phones now. Because you just got home, so I don't know how that
Yeah,
cell phone
yeah.
game was working back then. You know what I mean? With the
Hey,
internet and the cell phones, you know what I'm saying? But now,
hey, hey, I got
Google
an
is your
old
best friend,
LG.
bro.
Hey, I got an old
Listen,
LG. It's working for me, and
there you
everybody else
go.
got these iPhones and Galaxies. It works for me. All I want to do is just call and text, and I'm
That's
good, right?
right.
But
Yeah, but listen,
yeah.
Google is your friend, man. Listen, love Google. That's a good dude right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yes. Makes us wonder where would we ever be without the internet? We act like we can't. I mean, if they were to take my GPS, I don't know what would happen. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember we used to do maps and everything. If that GPS go, then I'm gonna have to try to remember some landmarks.
Yeah,
But
yo,
it's wild, right?
it used to
Yeah.
be crazy back then. It used to be crazy. Like these kids don't know how good they got it.
They have
They got it
no
Man.
idea.
good.
They don't know
They
nothing about
got
the
it
pages,
good.
Dawn. Running to the cell phone,
Yeah,
like I mean, running, hurry up. Now I need a quarter. What or call
yeah.
collect or something.
Mhm. And then
Crazy.
remember when you had to go away with the family. What did you have to do? You had to print up that whole big sheet and follow it
Yeah.
direction
You
from
know,
direction. So
you
yeah.
know, I did a piece in Folsom with the Red Ladder Theater Group, right? And
Mhm.
we did some improvs, and we did a skit, and it was talking about that, right? And I was the uncle, and I was talking to one of my nephews in the skit, and I told him, I says, "Hey, I'm gonna take you out to go fishing, get ready, right?" He says, "Hey, uncle, we fishing right now." I said, "What you mean?" He said, "We on POF right now." I said, "Nah, boy. I will take you to go do some real fishing where there's real fish." So yeah, Red Ladder Theater, shout out to them. They were an amazing group that came in. They helped us and helped us do improvs.
Nice.
Yeah.
What
So
so your wilderness, all of that sounds great. Dawn's gonna give you a hookup after the show. What is it that we can do as people, not only to help your cause and everything that we're doing, but just like you said about people offending and reoffending, and there's not any real education going on there. There's not any really mental health component, right? They're not transitioning you well to when you have to come back out here and be a productive member of society. What is one thing that you're doing or you would like to see happen with the criminal justice system, and what can just the average person do to make a difference in that?
So what I'm doing is I'm making myself available. Um, when I had got out October 20th, um, right during November 20th, which was 30 days later, I went and I signed up through the program to help give back to the Salvation Army. So I say giving back, volunteering your time. I volunteered my time giving back, and it felt so good. I've never done that before. I was always the problem in the community. So I would say sign up to programs to help feed the hungry, give back, things like that. Um, Understand what people are going through, right? Like a little bit of empathy goes a long way. Um, I would say we need for prison reform, we need more people, educated people who came from prison to receive, like I say, loans, grants, things like that nature, who want to help to give back. We got to help each other. We got to help ourselves, right?
Yeah.
There is no help coming. There is no Calvary when it comes to coming out of prison and you need a car, you need a job. You don't have a license. You don't have anything, right, to get you from point A to point B to get the job, right? we need transportation cards to get on public transportation, right? It's starting to cost now, right? The pandemic is over. Uh,
Hmm.
it's just a whole lot of information that's not getting to where it needs to get to. So I would say organizations go into prisons and provide the information, have people sign up to like driver licenses, IDs before they get out. So that stuff is already taken care of. You have me locked up. You got my social security
Right.
number, right?
What else you gonna
Why
run?
can't you have a state document, right? I'm locked up in the state. You mean to tell me you don't have a state documents? Like, where's the partnership with the
Yeah.
state, right? The state doesn't partnership with the state. It's kind of strange to me
And when
that
you say it, it makes so much sense. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like
Oh,
a
What's
thanks,
birth
good,
Mike.
bro?
Mike
certificate,
Mike.
said
right?
peace. Hmm.
Yeah,
What's
a
good,
birth
bro? Mike
certificate,
on the
right?
check-in.
Yeah,
So
you know,
one thing I also wanted to know, like, when you were in, did you learn some type of forgiveness for the people that, you know, caused the the pain towards
I did, I
everything?
did, I did, and I could share that. I took a victim awareness class, and I really didn't think I was going to get anything out of the class.
Did you have to
When I
take it, or was that you
No, no, it
chose?
wasn't a prerequisite or anything like
Okay,
that I
good.
had to take. It was something that I took
On your own.
because I wanted to take it. However, we all know on the inside, if you don't take the class, the chances of you going to the board and getting released are unlikely because you didn't take the time and effort out to get what was available that was offered to you in prison
Hmm.
as a self help group. So you kind of know to go in there and get it done, right? So
Yeah.
while I was in there, I didn't understand the impact that one crime had on a person, right? So
Hmm.
I understand now that you rob a person, they can't pay their bills. They can't pay their bills. They might be put out, right? That puts stress on the kids and the family, right? Maybe the money you took from them was the money for Christmas, right? And now the kid feels like my parent doesn't love me anymore, right? And all these different things, which
Yeah.
is the effects of it, right? So these are the accumulating effects of a crime and how it impacts everybody, right? The property crime goes up in the community, homeowners insurance goes up, the crime rate goes up in the community, and it's all connected, you know.
Hmm.
So I understood that taking that victim awareness class and understanding how crime impacts the whole community.
It does. And Mr. Lacey, everything we do makes an impact. Whether it's what you say or your action, it has no matter what the situation is. Everything you say or everything we say and everything we do affects somebody in some kind of way. Whether it's going to buy something and you go off with the person at the restaurant, whether it's all of that. And I'm glad you took it because it is a major self reflection. You know what I mean? And then to see how, when we look at how our actions or what we did or what we went through, whatever, um, how it affects others, then there's real remorse there. There's real, now you have a base and a starting area to change and to
It
really make
is.
change and a lifelong change, right? Because it's
It
lifelong.
is. And I would like to say that there's a lot of lifers on the inside who are working in the space of bringing the victim and the perpetrator together for a healing. This is all new to where a person who's killed someone's son or daughter meets them face to face in a visiting room in a safe place, and they're able to, you know, communicate, how sorry they are about killing somebody, right? And how the forgiveness part on the person, who's you took their people, how they're not stuck with, I want you dead. I want to see you die like you killed my. No, people are forgiven, right? We live in a Christian society. It's based on Christian society of America, right? But we live in a spiritual society, to where there is forgiveness, and you would want that. I want that. I would want a person to forgive me. Accident
Absolutely.
to accident, or I grew and I learned. Right? Have you really changed? And I think these programs that they're doing now, people are showing real, true change, and they're changing their lives around. And I do believe that they deserve a second chance.
Yeah, that's a lot of growth. Like you gotta definitely grow and try to forgive someone. for the things that they've done. But it takes time. You know what I mean? And like you
Takes
said,
years.
it's
It takes years.
yeah,
Takes
definitely.
time.
Yeah.
It
Um,
does.
but like you said, it's, we live in a Christian society, and you should be able to forgive. Especially people have done things that they probably did while they were on drugs or not in their right mind.
Yeah.
So but like I said, it takes time. It takes forgiveness. It takes a lot from certain people, and that's something we all have to work. You know.
Yeah, I agree. And we do have to work on that because, I mean, it's easier said than done, but it is
That
very hard to forgive somebody, especially if you did something that impacted or took their loved one. It's hard to get that person to where they keep looking at their loss. And so that's the thing, right? No matter what it is, you've lost something, and that's where the pain comes from. And so trying to get somebody over that loss, and when I work with people, they're trying to get through that loss. I see their pain, but at the end, at the very core of it, Mr. Lacey and Dawn, it's that loss. And they are having such problems or challenges trying to get over that hump because they know they can't get that
Hmm.
back. And no matter what they do, they cannot get out of that loss. So just trying to
yeah,
teach people, about this life, and you're going to lose. There's going to be loss. And so,
yeah,
dealing with little losses first and then applying those same techniques to get over the loss and try to get through it, because it's not hard, but we know that if you are a Christian, or if you believe in God, that forgiveness is number one, and it's so hard. But
So
that's why your story is so important.
so bro Mike, shout out to barbershops and Mike's on Evening Rush. He asked the question,
Barbershops, Mike.
what do you think about the plainclothes police back for more training to stop the spreading of police acting out of order?
What do you think about
So
bringing the plainclothes police? Like they're not identified.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When
Is
I
that question aimed directly to me, or because I could answer some of that?
it's to all of us, but I would like you to answer that.
Yeah, you
So
speak.
I would answer it like this, right? If we want better, we got to do better. We got to be the people who are policing us, right? If you're in a community, go down and sign up and become a police officer, right? Um, or a detective or whatever it might be, right on the force. Fire, get on the fire department, right? Be a firefighter, right? We need to do for us, right? And we need to be the ones policing us, right? To allow other people to come in and police us, plain clothes or not, right? We're giving our power to them, and they're treating us, of course, harshly or not equally, right? How can I treat
Like
you
animals.
equally if I don't even know nothing about your
Your
culture or nothing
community.
about your community? Yeah. So if you're from the community, go police your own community. We need to get out of the mind state that all police are bad or police in general is bad. It's a business. It's a service. We need that service. You would want your mother or your grandmother to call 911 and somebody to be at that door to help them, right? We got people on drugs and stuff that might break in. You're on the other side of town. You couldn't get there if she called you, you know what I mean, to help protect her life. So we got to knock off the ignorant thinking and come to terms that we need that service, but we don't need that service coming out killing us or murdering us. We don't need that.
And I wonder, Mr. Lacey and Dawn, I want to ask you this question too. So what he just said about needing the service, there are people that believe, okay, yeah, we are so far gone, like we gotta have the police. But then the big thing now, at least in the district where I am and just nationwide, is talking about defunding the police, or not defunding them, but putting some of those resources that went to them more towards mental health and social workers and counselors and all of that. Now, what do you think about that? Do you think that we should have both, or do you think something else?
Um, to be honest with you, um, I'm because we are taking away money from the police. If you notice, crime has gone up uh, crazy, especially murders right now. In New York, it's like ridiculous. You know, I think it's like a mass shooting every other day now. It went from
Yeah, that stuff is
every other
crazy.
week to like every day. You're hearing about 4 or 5 people getting shot in one day.
Mm-hmm.
I know one day last week it was 4 or 5 people got shot. No, it was 7 people in all 5 boroughs that got shot, and I think 2 people passed away. And this is from us taking money from the police. And you know, there are good cops out here that are doing their job, just like there are cops out here that's only out here for the wrong reasons. I don't know where they need to fix that problem versus taking away from them, because by you taking away from them, you're leaving us out here to defend for ourselves. I have never, in the 45 years of me being out here in New York, seen where all these guns out of nowhere are coming out. Like, everybody has a gun now.
Yeah,
and that is more. And that's crazy. And these young kids, unfortunately, they don't have the brain capacity not to kill each other. Instead of thinking, there's a lot of us older people that might have weapons who keep them in the house for protection of that house.
Right.
While these young kids are bringing them outside, like going to parties. Why are you bringing a gun to a party? If your goal to go to a party was to have fun, why were you taking a gun?
People got guns there.
You see what I'm saying? So this is where I agree that we need to figure a way to solve the problem, but taking the money away from the police is not helping the problem. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Which is, and don't get it twisted, I'm not an advocate for policing.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like Mr. Lacey, because I'm against snitching. I'm against
right.
Number one king. I don't snitch. We'll see each other in the street. I mean, that's my mentality. Yeah. But once again, I'm on a different lifestyle because now I have children. You know what I mean? And I don't want my kids to think it's okay. Let me go get a gun and solve a problem. We never solved problems like that when we were growing up. It was, let's put these hands up and handle our business. You know what I mean? So, but through that, somebody lived to see another day. You know what I mean? I'm seeing too many parents burying 15, 16-year-olds, and it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
The rappers are dying. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
rappers are getting
supposed
killed.
to outlive you, not you outlive your kids.
Right.
So it's a difficult problem that needs to be solved. And unfortunately, in New York, our mayor is not doing his job. You know what I'm saying? Completely not doing his job. I do shout out to our governor who's held us down through the pandemic, but now his job is done. It's on our mayor. And, this race for mayor right now, you're looking at 2 great candidates, and you have to choose which one. But one is more of he's showing you signs of being more of like a politician. And you know what politicians to me, like they get into office, they say, I'm going to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
They get into office, they don't do nothing.
Yeah.
So, it's a uphill battle. You got to try to figure it out. You know what I mean? So that's my thought on that situation.
We got to figure
longer term limits. Yeah, we need longer term limits. You can't do anything in 2 or 4 years. You need more time than that.
Yeah, but Mr. Lacey, I don't know if I want longer term limits, because if there's somebody in there that we need out, that's the last thing we want.
Well, you could always vote a person out. It's called a quasi vote. You could always bring a person and vote them out, if they're not doing what they're elected to do. So we have that power too as the people.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be happening that way.
Well, if you get someone to sign the 100,000, signatures on there and then move it forward, you can move it along.
Not that it can't happen. Not that it can't happen. I guess it's just, when you just like Dawn said, you've seen so many politicians, you've heard so many politicians, you've heard that spiel. It's just like they all start meshing together. I just need somebody to come out who is going to do what they say they're going to do, period. And something, you have got to build trust. That trust is everything. I mean, no matter whether it's in your own life, whatever. That trust, and when you break somebody's trust, it is very hard, as you know, to regain it, whether it's politics, whether it's loved one, whether it's whatever.
That's why, Lacey, shout out to our president, man. Like, he's so far, I'm proud of him. He has kept his word for a lot of the stuff he's been saying.
Don, I'm scared because he's older, and every time he speaks, I'm just making sure that you're okay. I just want the doctor nearby. I just want to make sure that you'll be able to.
Listen,
I love him, but you know what I'm saying?
You gotta trust into our vice president. regardless of
Chameleon
whatever
hair.
happens.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so you gotta
They
trust
picked the
that,
right one. They picked the
you gotta.
right one.
I mean, no, don't get it twisted. Remember, she started off
A1.
not on the
Yeah.
right track, but she's changed a
She
lot,
gonna fall
and
in
I have to
line.
give her that.
Yes. She
I
know
have to
because
give her
now
that.
you got a new role, Kamala. You got a role like people really. You've got to
Yeah.
represent.
You
There
got
is
these
no
little
Right,
game.
that part.
girls
Yeah.
that are out here saying, "Yo, listen, I want to be like her.
Yes.
I want to be like her." And that's
Yep.
when you got that role model type person, yo, you gotta hold it down and show
You gotta
them,
hold it down.
this is what it is, man.
For real.
But Miss
Mr.
Ella, you
Go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say, you know what time it is. We on the same time,
I could do
Mom.
the
We
show with
got
Dawn all
that
day
same
long.
vibe, yo.
I
We
know.
got that same
I
vibe
know.
right now.
Yes. So we are getting ready to close out. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, whether you are watching us on Facebook, whether you are listening to us in the car. Mr. Robert Lacey, it has been an absolute pleasure. You know we're going to have you back, especially once you get going with the wilderness, because, I'm coming there. Me, Dawn, the whole crew going to come and, we just need some meditation.
Listen,
You just
I know.
tell us what the
I'm
curriculum is.
get curious. Shit is on popping right now. Let's get it.
Yes. So everybody,
Run
you've
down,
been listening
gang,
to
kill.
yes, the On Everything podcast every Friday 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Tune into the On Everything podcast and of course the Evening Rush Network. Thank you, everyone, Mr. Lacey. Thank you so much.
For my cousin, it's on everything.
Everything. There you go.
Take care, y'all.
All right. Thank